Yeah. And then what happens when you dispose of it? So now, is it recycled or is it going in the landfill? They expect you to recycle, and so you're recycling. That's the sad.
There's a few places it's amazing what's happening.
No, I mean, it's slow. But I suppose if people go back and say, first years ago. It's simple, organic, or something. Yeah. And is the date way far out? Okay, so it's not the store. See, I blame, what I do is I blame programs. Because I've seen it sitting out. They don't have enough people to put stuff out. And they don't, that's exactly right. It sits out, you peek in those doors. They don't have things. I mean, so many of those real things. Full of refrigerator.
Well, I gotta tell you, it's happened to me now. I'm like, did it change?
Yes. And it's
going back.
I blame program. It's because it wasn't refrigerated. I don't know, ask them.
I'm going to take it in.
I think it's good. I don't know about the food line, but at the program, when you have to talk to the manager, you don't. That manager absolutely will not come. They send an assistant or the manager of the day or the department or whatever. And the guy that used to be there was always wanted to have the store. And he told me one time that because he came back when they were being checked out by the main office. And they have all these things. And he told me that it's because it used to be the managers of the store started in a department, stock, and then they became the manager of the department, and then of an area, and then so they knew the business. We knew the business because we lived with it. So now they take them out of school and put them in, and they don't know the business or whatever. You've probably been there long enough to know that.
No, I get it. I'm good. Into the kitchen?
When we came, I know, he's still around. I think that was so cute. Was that cute to do that? They sell these lovely items.
Oh, you were on the same. I'll be here.
That was this morning. No, worship service and music. And then
That's why I have to start the stream because everybody getting
so is it 6:30? We're a little. Oh, she needs to get that. Oh, well, we'll still eat.
So, no, we can tell them.
Okay, everyone, in about 5 minutes, we're going to begin our worship and program. So if you could begin taking your stuff to the kitchen, we greatly appreciate it.
You want to use this for the presentation? For a hand job.
Are there musicians?
So this is my father's.
I have to be sending some people because I can't get a meeting for the 100 plus meeting. See, my name hasn't been.
Oh, there's one right there on your seat. I'll just, I can
Don't
read.
get to it. That's the way it is.
If we're any closer, I can read it.
They get they get all gonna say the same thing. And that's how.
Really? In the winter, I'm wearing shorts. In the summer, I'm just like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you
yeah,
gotta-
my internal
you gotta
temperature.
Mine is,
divorce. And so people put ideas in, and then they pick their name. Yeah, so if there's a short and small number of people, you got a good chance to pick. So I was picking, gave a presentation, but lost out with your neighbors in September. And then in January.
Thank you for that copy.
Oh, you're welcome. There was so many people there. And now in May, we're going to the winery, so it's going to be a lot of people. And I can't even go, so I'm thinking, give answers to people and give them pretty much what you sent out last year. I'm sorry? Yep. Absolutely. Because I know what so it depends. You have to get to it. So, but I'm still doing it. That's but it just, yeah, it's random.
So this is just an instrumental. We're going to pay twice.
Correct.
Just an instrumental twice. Right.
Instrumental twice.
And hey, you're taking the lead on the first.
We did all right with TLAC the other night, didn't we?
Yeah, you did.
It was good.
Everybody ready?
June. Think you're second place.
Everything that you need for our worship service will be available to you on the screen. We'll begin with our call to worship. Creator God, in bright light and dull darkness, in the energy of each day and the rest that comes with night, we remember the goodness of God. In the heavens, high above our heads, in waters that run deep around the world, we remember the goodness of God. In solid land and flowing seas, in vivid flowers and fruit-laden trees, we remember the goodness of God. In the rising and setting of the sun, and the cycles of the season in the patterns of the shining stars, we remember the goodness of God. In oceans teeming with fish, in skies filled with birds, we remember the goodness of God. In a world filled with animal life, and in ourselves as human beings, we remember the goodness of God. And God looked and saw all that he had made, and indeed, it was very, very good. In rest and reflection, in wonder and worship, we remember the goodness of God.
I see trees of green and roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I hear friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Let us pray. God, maker of marvels, you weave the planet and all its creatures together in kinship. Your unifying love is revealed in the interdependence of relationships in the complex world that you have made. Save us from the illusion that humankind is separate and alone, and join us in communion with all inhabitants of the universe. Through Jesus Christ, our Redeemer, who topples the dividing walls, by the power of your Holy Spirit, who lives and reigns with you forever and ever. Amen.
I invite you to join me in a responsive reading of Psalm 104. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord, my God, you are very great.
You are clothed with honor and majesty, wrapped in light as with a garment.
You stretch out the heavens like a tent, and set the beams of your chambers on the waters.
You make the clouds your chariot. You ride on the wings of the wind.
You make the winds your messengers, fire and flame your ministers.
You set the earth on its foundations, so that it shall never be shaken.
You cover it with the deep as with a garment.
At your rebuke they flee. At the sound of your thunder they take to flight.
They rose up to the mountains, ran down to the valleys, to the place that you appointed for them.
You set a boundary that they may not pass, so that they might not again cover the earth.
You make springs gush forth in the valleys. They flow between the hills.
Giving drink to every wild animal, the wild asses quench their thirst.
By the streams, the birds of the air have their habitation. They sing among the branches.
From your lofty abode, you water the mountains. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of your work.
You cause the grass to grow for the cattle, and plants for people to use.
To bring forth food from the earth, and wine to gladden the human heart.
Oil to make the face shine, and bread to strengthen the human heart.
The trees of the Lord are watered abundantly. The cedars of Lebanon that he planted.
In them the birds build their nests. The stork has its home in the fir trees.
The high mountains are for the wild goats. The rocks are a refuge for the coons.
You have made the moon to mark the seasons. The sun knows its time for setting.
You make darkness and it is night, when all the animals of the forest come creeping out.
The young lions roar for their prey, seeking their food from God.
When the sun rises, they withdraw and lie down in their dens.
People go out to their work and to their labor until the evening.
O Lord, how manifold are your works.
A reading from the 9th chapter of Genesis. God said to Noah and to his sons with him, "As for me, I am establishing my covenant with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the domestic animals, and every animal of the earth with you, as many as came out of the ark. I establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of a flood, and never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth." God said, "This is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. I have set my bow in the clouds, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth." God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth."
God, you made your good creation, and you hold it in your care. From each starry constellation to each forest under there, tiny creatures, fountain splendor, rivers, lakes, and ocean floors. You are loving, kind, and tender in your care for what is yours. Yet, O God, the earth is crying, times are changing, storms are strong. Now the coral reefs are dying, floods are raging, droughts are long. The circumstances differ when the earth is in distress. See, the poor are first to suffer from our greed and selfishness. God, you love this world we live in, so you sent your only Son. Here on earth as in heaven, God, we pray your will be done. By your Spirit may we listen to the earth and to the poor. May we care for all you've given till creation is restored. Inch by inch, row by row, how to make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone blessed each seeds I sow. Someone bore them from below till the brink comes tumbling down. When weeds and picket stones, and is made of creams and bones, feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Rain for rain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. Tune my body and my brain to the music from the land. Plant your rows straight and long, temper with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. Don't grow watching hungrily from this perch in yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered leaf up there. Inch by inch, row by row, gotta make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warn them from below till the green comes tumbling down.
The world around us is full of beauty.
We praise your name, O God.
For the gift of life on earth,
We praise your name, O God.
open our eyes to see your artistry.
Your image in all that you have made.
Where our praise is short or silent,
All creation sings out its joy.
here we join creation's song.
We praise your name, O God.
Welcome to our OMG program from Stewards of the Earth. And I recently volunteered to relieve Jeff as chair of Stewards of the Earth because he's chair of about 16 other things. And so we want to thank you all for coming out tonight. And we have this neat graphic that Cliff Collins designed for us. You might be seeing it when we're wearing t-shirts with it. That's our new logo. Stewards of the Earth is a collection, is sort of an umbrella of different projects that different members do to help care for God's creation. And then what drives us in our ministry is that the belief that God created the world and cares about it, and he created it not just to sustain us, but it is necessary for our well-being to care for God's creation. And so we have our little projects that before Smith and I got to Trinity, they had started working on energy efficiency in the building, and the butterfly garden was started, and the bluebird trail was started, and we have, you may be familiar with our projects to collect things for reuse and recycling. And we also try to reduce the amount of trash that we produce by using the reusable silverware and plates. And that's why we asked you to bring your own water mug. And I see that a bunch of people did, so thank you all. And we have a special guest speaker tonight from Smith Mountain Lake Association, and Jeff Orth is going to tell us more about him. And we can, anybody who is interested in anything we're doing, we welcome more volunteers, more team members. And if you have a project that's not being done that you're interested in doing, let us know.
Thank you, Gail. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce to you Bill Butterfield. Bill is the chair of the Smith Mountain Lake Association Board and has been for the last 2 years. And we welcome Bill. I told Bill that I would do a straw poll here. How many people in the audience is now or has ever been a member of the Lake Association? All right. Thank you. I was guessing it would be a third. It looked like it was a bit over a half. So that's great. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Bill's background. Bill is a native Maniac from the state of Maine. And he got his bachelor's and his master's degree from the University of Maine. Is that at Maine at Orono, Bill? And then Bill got another master's degree from the University of Illinois. So he's also an Illini. But Bill actually came to the lake from Winchester in 2018. And he wasn't here for very long in retirement when we noticed him and decided he would be a great leader to bring us out of COVID. As most organizations in the lake area, and I'm sure around the country, our organization has suffered during COVID, and we needed to stabilize our membership and to rebuild it. And Bill has done a fabulous job of that. Bill has also infused with energy a lot of our programs, like the buffer landscape, the increased work that we do out on the lake, both in safety and in keeping our lake healthy. You might be aware that our lake, now more than 50 years old, is one of the few lakes in the country that is an artificial lake at that age and is still very much alive. Most lakes that are artificial lakes are by age 20 or 30 ecologically dead. And our membership and leadership is dedicated to making sure that the lake stays very much alive and its water stays healthy. Bill is an active member of his church and a leader. He has not only children and grandchildren, he now has 2 step-grandchildren, great-grandchildren, Bill?
2 step great-grandchildren, 6 step-grandchildren.
That's great. Okay, so Bill brings a lot of support with him when he comes to lake organization events. I'm going to mention just one for this summer. It's our Lake Day, which is going to be the 2nd Saturday in June.
June 10th.
June 10th. And it's going to be at the Crazy Horse Marina. So if you're free that day, come on down. We have lots of activities planned, and if you have grandchildren or great-grandchildren or children or neighborhood kids that you'd like to bring, it's going to be a great program for them. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bill for tonight's program.
Well, thank you. That's a little longer introduction than you had hoped for, I'm sure. I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to learn that there's a group who is Stewards of the Earth. I think that's fantastic. And the worship that you did tonight was just amazing. Really appreciate you letting me share that with you. Smith Mountain Lake Association. I don't know what slide I'm on here. Are we on a slide? Or do I just go like this? Oh, okay. This is the second time I've been here with a microphone. We did our annual meeting here in the fall. Thank you very much. We want to do it again this fall. So we appreciate your support. So having just experienced what the last few minutes have been, I feel like being part of Smith Mountain Lake Association is like a ministry to me. It's you're the stewards of the earth, and we're the steward of the lake. This is what we do. Our mission statement says that we protect the quality of the water and promote safe recreation, of which Jerry is a big part of that. He's part of the Water Safety Council. This group, this has nothing to do with me, the success of this group. This group is amazing. It is amazing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about us, and I hope you'll see what our mission really is, and that is clean and safe. Clean and safe. All right. Go that way. So we want to have clean water and safe recreation, and we want people to enjoy it, and we want it's the oldest 501c3 in the community here around the lake. We've been in business, I don't know, I think close to 50 years. They've been collecting water samples we're in our 36th year this year. So it's been 35 years. We're the longest serving advocate for the Smith Mountain Lake community. In reality, the lake, is a huge driver economically of this area, but also, for recreation, et cetera. And it's a beautiful lake. It's getting, my wife keeps telling me, will you stop advertising the lake? Everybody's going to want to move here. But it's just a beautiful community too. So, all right, let's keep going. There are 23 board members at the SMLA. I got to look at the slide. We have a president and a vice president, a treasurer, a secretary, and a past president. This sits on an executive committee. And we just try to organize what we can. The 23 board members, there are two councils. There's a Lake Quality Council, LQC, and there's also a Water Safety Council, WSC. And those two councils make up some really talented people. Water Safety Council, I think there must be 40, 50 people, members on that council. 25 to 30 of which come every first Wednesday for a meeting. And the same thing with SMLA. There are 10 committee chairs, membership, communications, and also TLAC chairs. We have 5 stakeholders, both water authorities, the Bedford County Water Authority and the Western Virginia Water Authority are members, they're board members on the SMLA, along with 2 county reps, one from Franklin County, Lori Smith, and one from Bedford County, Edgar Tuck. They're board members. And also Neil Holthauser is a APCO, Appalachian Power Company board member. And Appalachian Power is very supportive of SMLA. Clean Lake. The Lake Quality Council is all about clean water and protecting the water of Smith Mountain Lake. They do water quality monitoring. This is a group of, that's a group of 55 volunteers on the lake, but there's 85 people signed up. So there's a subs of 30 people if we needed them. And we really appreciate the amount of effort that people put into that. Now you'll see these boats out if you're ever out on the lake during the summer. and they'll be dropping a disc in the lake to see how far they can see the disc below the water. It's called a Secchi disc, and it measures the clarity of the water. They collect samples and filter them. I volunteered to do it because my grandkids are around in the summer, so I take them out on the boat. They do little chemistry experiments, etc., which is great. But anyway, so they collect these water samples, and then we have a cooperation with Ferrum College, and Ferrum does the testing. And so we collect them 1 week, we freeze them, Ferrum comes and gets them, they test them and qualify the phosphorus. I'll show you the 3 things that they really do. But the next week, and then we go back every 2 weeks and we test again, or we collect again and then they test. The Save Our Streams, we have our Save Our Streams expert in the room with Jeff. Next week, they're going to the middle school, Benjamin Franklin Middle School, and the whole class for 3 days total, or 2? 2 days, 3 days. They'll be doing the SOS stream testing, which is, if you really want to know about that, you just need to ask Jeff, because he knows what they're doing. Me, on the other hand, not so much, but I got to get out there one time to do that. So Jeff is doing that, and it tells us what the tributaries coming into the lake are, is there something that's causing the water to be polluted somewhere in the stream? Jeff's group is going to be able to tell that, and if it's high quality, he's going to be able to tell that. And so far, it looks like our quality is quite good compared to other streams that have been collected around the state of Virginia. So that's Save Our Streams. I missed Buffer Garden. Buffer Garden, does anybody not know? Raise your hand if you don't know what it means, Buffer Garden. You all know what the Buffer Garden program is. So well, I have to tell you what it is, so if you know what it is. So buffer gardens are critical to keep fertilizers, example, runoff, geese, droppings, if you got geese at your place, and that kind of stuff from running into the lake, because they pollute the lake in reality, and causes algae growth and other things that are a little bit detrimental. The vessel pump out, I don't know if you know what that is, but we have a crew from Lynchburg, 3 wrestlers at Lynchburg University, and they work in the summer, and they drive a truck around to the marinas and they pump out sewage from the boats. And it's a free service to these boats, and they collect all this sewage and it goes into the tanks on the marinas, and then, like AAA and people like that come and get it, right? Can you imagine what it would be like if hundreds of thousands of gallons of sewage was going in the lake? And so that's another program from SMLA. We've been doing this for years and years, and it's a really great program. Septic education, we have a lady who is really good at writing articles for the papers and telling people that you need to pump your tank, you need to, be careful to watch out for your septic systems, and this is how you take care of them, etc. We have an invasive species group that looks for invasive fish species, but also invasive plants. I just heard about a new, what is it called? A dual frog, or what was it? Did you see that? There's a new plant called dual horn frog or something like that. And it's a plant, it's an invasive species to Virginia. And it's in like 70 different areas right now. And so anyway, we look for those kinds of things because they can take over, and they're not natural to Virginia. So, and then habitat, every year we put in with the Department of Wildlife Resources, we put 80 to 100 fish habitats into the lake. These are really complicated things to build, but what they do is they protect the small fish. So small fish can go inside of them. And you can actually put these on your dock, or if you have a place at the lake and you have a dock, you can actually put these under your dock where you're not going to go. Not these particular ones, but you can put milk carton type, the plastic ones with holes in it. And that will also protect young fish. And the DWR will come out and help you with that. And then the debris, there's always a lot of debris around and in the lake. And we'll talk about that a little bit. New business for this group. This is a very active group. We have a GIS project right now where where all the markers are in the lake are 26 and G9. I live at G9, by the way. So G9, all these markers, green and red lights, right? Those are all on a map, on an SMLA map that you can purchase at the office. And it marks all those. Well, we want to increase that to where are all the fish habitats? Where are all the water sampling points? We get a lot of questions from people who say, well, what about the water at my house or at my place? Where, and so you'd be able to see where all the water sampling points are. So we're doing a big GIS project with the county and with a professional who's going to help us develop this map further. The Bedford County Septic Regulations Letter, we're involved in septic regulations. We try to encourage more testing and making sure that if you're renting your property and you're renting it out to someone, that you have to make sure that the septic is continually good. And all these other things. Have you heard of PFAS, Generation X? That was a chemical that was being introduced by a company on the Roanoke River. And you have to measure it in parts per trillion. And if it's 6 parts per trillion or greater, then it's considered a carcinogen into the lake. And so Bedford County, which takes water out of the lake, the Bedford County Water Authority, they test for this. First of all, it took months to find the source, but we found the source, they found the source, and eliminated the source, but there's still some of that in the lake, right? And so you're not drinking the water from the lake, at least you're not trying to. And where you are drinking the water from the lake in Bedford, they treat it before it comes out. And so they get it below the 6. You can't even detect it anything less than 3 or something. It's undetectable. So, but those are the kinds of things that this group is involved with. Sedimentation. There's a new bug called the spotted lanternfly that tends to eat a lot of good vegetation. We're putting traps out all over and seeing what that's. It hasn't really been at the lake yet, but it's been about everywhere else, and it's coming. So we're going to test and see. But probably you've heard about the Mountain Brook Solar Farm. There was a big meeting in Franklin last week about that and whether or not that's good for the environment, et cetera. So anyway, all right, let's keep going. This is the kind of stuff we look for: water clarity, chlorophyll, phosphorus. Everybody knows about chlorophyll. You got it in grade school, I think. That's the green part. And if you get too much of it, it initiates aggressive algae growth. Same thing with phosphorus. And so that's why you build a buffer garden, to help hold that down. And that's part of the water testing program every 2 weeks. The water quality monitoring schedule for this year, I just put that up here. You have a copy of the slides now. Anybody who wants these slides can ask for them, but we'll get them to you. This is the testing dates. We'll do the water samples collecting, and Ferrum also collects samples for bacterial testing. They do that 6 times during the summer. If you do that right after a hard rain, you get a bacteria in the lake. And so we put out a swimming warning, right? Don't swim in the lake, but it's because of the rain, the hard rain brings it, and it dissipates pretty fast. But they do that kind of testing. Depth profiling, they also do that. Take Pride in Smith Mountain Lake is in the month of May, 6, 13, and 20. There'll be dumpsters at 7 different marinas locations across the lake. We'd encourage you, because of who you are, to gather some trash. Let's go out and help around the lake in gathering trash and putting them in these dumpsters. If you sign up, if you register before May 2nd, it's TPI SML. Take Pride in Smith Mountain Lake. If you type that